All right, Jack John McCaig here. Computer glitch. I'm sorry about that. Had to turn it off and wait for it to reboot and all that stuff. So I apologize. Now, last week I said it was a good focus on doing a continuation of Revelations, because I had a wedding to happen yesterday and it was wonderful. So, thank you, God, for making that just absolutely stunning, beautiful, perfect in every way, excellent. Glad I focused on that. So, like I said, not going to do Revelations this week. We're going to pick it up next Sunday, and we're going to, Revelations has 22 books in it, and I went through Revelations 11, so we're halfway home. Okay. Also, a lot of people are traveling from the wedding today and stuff. So, and I know they like to be live on this when they can. So they're missing and it was just, everyone put all their energy into yesterday, which is as it should be. And it was wonderful, perfect. I couldn't, no way words can sum up how great and perfect it was with the best people. So everyone that made it great and everyone that prayed for them and didn't make it, that's great too. But this video, so, thank you, God, for that. And thanks for understanding that I'm kind of, skipping a week on Revelations, picking up next time. All right. Um, Having a sale that ends today over on Liberty Aid Academy if anyone needs to get in to that. Because I really can't help anyone until they get the trust signed and stuff. I can give you this information, but I can't really help you. All right. Um, Amazing. No one's in here. Zero. I took me at my word last time when I was like, I'm not gonna focus on. I'm not gonna do anything. But I'm not gonna do anything with Revelations because that entire requires an entire different mindset. To be able to decode that and to be able to be here and with people and doing a wedding is a whole different mindset and spiritual plane actually. So that's why the break. So in this week, what we're going to talk about is intermission. Um, I'll pose the question now. Be thinking about it as we go because I posed it last week too. And the question is, should I decode um, Revelation? Should I do it? You know, because like I went to this wedding yesterday. It wasn't supposed to be yesterday. It was supposed to be the day when they shut all the planes down because come on, if I go and do something spiritually, and join two people under God as a ceremony of, I'm just saying, what happens when I do something with people, first people baptized here under the dome properly by washing their feet and, you know, God is all about love, true love. All Mary Baba writes about God and love. And so that's what a wedding is, about. And the vows were amazing because they wrote them themselves and they're like, they give themselves to God, to Jesus Christ, and to each other. The vows were just sublime. I loved it. It was just a joy to be in their presence. When I was in their presence when the lightning bolt hit when they met first time, I was like, whoa, okay, this is going to happen. And so it was a joy to be there when, it got uh, officially joining the families and all that. It was wonderful. Um, so, uh, but that's what happened, because, that's what happens. Hey, JB. So, again, this is a real question. Should I? I, should I? Because if the truth gets out, what happens? It gets acted upon. Uh, as soon as one individual or the other hive knows, right? They know, oh, the knowledge is up to here, So enact, step 400 million seven, and and it's just a domino effect. You see. All right, Pamela. Oh my God, it was it was amazing, amazing, amazing. I can't say enough wonderful things about it. RHA. Plan Z into effect. Let me just sum it up in one phrase that we've all heard before that came to mind from, thank you, Angel Gabriel, today. Do I think this line, right? What do you think you're the be all end all? I be all. In other words, I got joy with God, and so that's all one individual, right? Be all end all. That is B is one of the B's, one of the hive. We say be all you be all you can be, right? Is not a B. That you're a human, right? And then you end it all. So what makes it? They figure out, oh, shut the hive down, restruct the hive, be all end all. So, but do you see what I'm getting at here? Me decoding this information, just like, hey, let's get together and have a wedding, and and hey, can you officiate this? Do you think something's not going to happen? Something has to happen. You see, and so, but everyone made it through that and made it to the other side. It was super worth it. I mean, you know, not a drop of rain, perfect sunset. I mean, it's impossible to describe every perfect element. It was perfect. So, uh, it was a little heavy in July in Florida, but breeze come up off the water and it was lovely. Uh, Everything great, very intimate, incredible thing, but it had that wrinkle in it. Do you see? And so, it's a real question. Should I tell everything? Like some people seem to want to know. Uh, so that's a question. We used to have this old theater in DC. I think it was called the Avalon, and it was and it's just a nice part of DC that God built. And it's just beautiful, giant movie theater, just Art Deco. I'm sure it's still happening because it was so beautiful. It was right in the best, super pumped up, nice big house, perfect neighborhood. So I'm sure it's still there. Uh, but I mean, but the show must go on. You remember the Avalon, yeah, Jay, right? Beautiful place. So I mean, that's like the show is the show. Like it's. Uh, So I mean, I know what my job be all end all. Like that's what you think you're the be all end all. I was like, sadly, I mean, or not sadly, or it doesn't. Yes, yeah, uh, So uh, because it was the first time I baptized anybody properly. I go in front of all these Christians, and I dare say it might be as I was having experienced it afterwards. Because you all wedding rites don't they have, oh, under God these two are joined, basically, but it doesn't join you and God in the actual saying of that part of the wedding, where you make your oath. You make your oath to each other, but you don't make it to God at the same exact time. But they did write their vows that way. And they did understand reality enough to write it that way. I read it, and like, oh, they already did it. You see, so I dare say Noah's been wed properly before, hence the name wedding, right? And you're with we for wedding that ends you, ding, you're with we. And so is the opposite yesterday of that. So is the undoing of that continual wheel that never has yet stopped of a wedding. You see, it's like everyone joins to each other, later we joined under God to let these two were joined, and they what? They you didn't so what, that separated you from God? Like, you forgot to mention that, you see? So, that's why events had, that were pretty widespread and noticeable had to happen to everyone, you see, because of that. And so, but I just say, should I continue? You see what I'm saying? Like, if you think, well, that was just a wedding. Well, no, that was a ceremony and doing it right and getting out from under the devil, leaving the dome. Hey, I'm with God, like ensuring and doing it the first time the right way. So was it no mistakes and no slippery slope, none of that, all gone. Uh, so that just so it has to happen at first at some time under the dome, and somebody has to help it along and make sure. Oh, do a little edit, but they've been listening to what I've been saying, and they didn't need a single edit. Like, I got ready to write that back. I was like, oh, now they nailed it, And in fact, they re-edited it several times until it was just like really just the exact right oath, and ceremony. Because when I told them they were doing it, I was like, "Hey, we're already in the trust. We're good." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's how we have weddings. We have it for other people, and to bring two families together and stuff." And they took that very seriously, and put in a lot of tradition, and sort of, fix the stuff that's in the tradition. So. Um, it was great to be there to see that uh, evolution and evolution of that situation. All right, Valeria, glad you made it. God bless everyone. Yes, God bless you. Uh, so, something occurred. So again, we're back to intermission. I brought us up to now. It's like, oh, you want to tell the future? Like, I've already. What I mean, come on, you could watch the future happen, and with what I decoded with Revelations, be like, oh, because I give the end date and all this, the pieces. So, yeah, but I mean, what if I did it? What if I didn't decode it? You know what I mean? It's like we'd be stuck in. Oh my, we'd be we're still under the dome. That's no good. So so you have to decode it. You follow, and then everything stays on track, timing wise. The trains run on time and everything to the last station. So that's why yes, things will happen. Revelations is, oh, guess what? This is going to happen if it's going to happen. So, uh, but what's the initiation of it? Do you follow me? Like, uh, the players have to play their roles, or it doesn't happen. They play their roles. I play my role. They have a reaction. Basically, I play my role. They have a reaction. You know. Uh, so I just do what God says as I go along, which just sounds uh, risky, but actually everything else is risky. The more I do it, everything else is a risk, and it's just up to the last second sometimes with everything. Like, I'm going to decode this. It's like, well, I'm not going to tell you much before you go. I'm like, well, that's thanks. Because having the information and then delivering it earlier speeds up or slows down or whatever the script. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm not here to, there's a watch, there's a timing to the whole thing, there's an exact timing. So, releasing the information out there, it's released into here. Oh, here comes. I write it, I say it, uh, and then it's out. Uh, just like when you sign, it's like, wait a minute. All you do is get your thing notarized, and they all know. How's that possible? It's like, yeah, no, that's the way they are. You see, that's an explanation of how they are. Our enemies, as Christ calls them, Jesus Christ called our opponents in this game. That's who they are. And so, uh, once they receive knowledge as an individual, one of them, the hive receives it. Do you see? And so me decoding, it's like, oh, they, because they read me as I've gone along this spiritual path and, all the way along, and they never, let's see how to say it. Obviously, what me interacting with them in this situation made me move forward spiritually. So it was me interacting with them and mainly my distaste of the whole thing that they knew what it would have. So they kept pushing me along by playing their roles along me until I got there. Yes. Okay. So, but then you look at Bear Baba's rating and that's just the first journey for Perfect Masters. And there's four more journeys. Yeah. The second journey is coming out of it, like that 9, uh, 9 months of that, and then 7 years of each plane redoing it. They call it in the back. It's called what is it called? It's called in the back of God Speaks. It's called not the combined plays. It's called the something like that though. Oh, wow, that's right. Uh, Not consolidated. But what happens is you reach a 7th play, right? And then you're forced to, drag your consciousness back in the dome in the body. And then each year basically is going up each plane again in that consciousness. So, sort of parading through, the dome, like, "Hey, just checking how you doing, sir. There, you made it, right?" And they push you until you like get it. And so you quickly, instead of the 7 plays taking, whatever long it took, it's a 7 year thing until you're operational again, basically. Because Infinity, it don't go with this finite place. It doesn't. It's very hard. Like it's very hard for me to let me just decode Revelations and then go to a wedding and do that, and then decode Revelations. They're separate spiritual plays. It's so hard to there's the transmission or the clutch to go between each one is very uh how many years does it take for someone usually to do that, and I'm asked to like switch them, you know what I'm saying? uh it's you can't really describe it, you know what I mean? But it's worth it for certain events. Like I'm not a priest, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a prophet, I work for God, Christ, like Jesus didn't go around marrying people and doing like a whole bunch of priest things, you know what I'm saying? That's not he didn't do that. Uh like it's very important to do certain things at the right timing, baptize people the right way, marry them the proper, correct way. Those things are important to do and show errors, in reading the Testament that were errors that the we or, you're supposed to notice. Oh, hey, you're supposed to catch them. There's supposed to be these, parts of the script that you're supposed to see need to be edited. Oh, hey, what about this? And you're like, oh, hey, you're unlocking that information as you go, and you're that hidden kind of like spiritual hierarchy. Why? Because can you see God? You see what I'm saying? Like you have to see what can't be seen, God. And so the game to see God is a hidden game in life, just which is like revelations, the hidden individual process of going through the spiritual process and coming back to God, becoming a bodhisattva, going up to spiritual plays, having Christ consciousness, the way it's talked about in all the different scripts. That's the goal of life there, yes? Uh, so that's in every piece of what we're doing in this. But it's also it's an individual's loop of the consciousness moving forward within the greater loop, right? Of this one continuous, never changing time loop. My loop is exactly a match with the time loop. My age when I come in, I'm 8 when it started. My age goes exactly day to day, end to end, exactly there's no difference, you see? And you know, it's it's a bit of a horror, isn't it? But, you know, they have extra knowledge that I'm unlocking myself individually and also for the consciousness of people that don't have the knowledge. But as we go, right, and it's like, "Oh, Judgment Day is coming, all this stuff is happening." When you woke up from sleep this morning, it wasn't like, "Oh my god," you don't know. Or when you went to when you went to sleep, it wasn't like, "Oh my god," but you went into ether, you went into the original state of God. It wasn't what? It was fine. It wasn't a thing. Uh, so, when you look at the other team and they have all this knowledge of the script that I'm delivering and sharing and you see is true, they have all this information. They have had all this. They always have all this information. They always have it. And look at them. They're always fine. You see? Uh, they're not upset by the time loop. You know, that doesn't upset them. Uh, like they're upset by me individually. Or like when I'm around them, sometimes like I'm a jarring figure in my advancement because it has to be rapid, and it has to happen. It has to happen. If it doesn't happen, this place, But so it does happen. So it's predetermined. It does happen as well as and it happens, and you look at them and they're fine. You see, the other team is fine with this, and they know it all. So, and they're not. They're they're good at what they do. We used to do it, right? Uh, and they get better all the time, and so on, and it goes on and on and on. Yes, but they're not super creative and clever. They don't go outside the game and stuff like that's us. We get dumped in here, get our memory wiped, and then necessity is a mother of invention. It's for real. And so you start figuring out what works here to get out of here, like whatever it is. And that's the way I treated it and still treat it because it works. And so that's what's happening here in part of the book of Revelation, right? We went through that. That's the individual soul is going through a loop in here and it's constantly going through a loop. That's why you say that little book of their mamas. Let me see that thing. Where is that? I don't know. I don't have every book up. But it's called The Advancing Stream of Light. It's a little paperback book and it has these loops going in a continuous string on the cover of the people. It's like people, then it shows loop, 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 loop. It's like and it comes back as a circle. And it's like wearing all these bodies and doing all these loops within this loop here. Mine matches exactly the same time. How could I? What is there going to be? A game of sheep with no shepherd. That's not no. And is there going to be you know someone in here that's supposed to help people that's going to do something different than the sheep have to do? No, I had to. They put me in here as one of the sheep. Period. A lamb to get slaughtered. The only thing is, I did it because it did what God said. Thank God, God was making me do the things He said. I blame it all on God. Me, I'm just God's tool. Do this, do that. God created me. I'll react to it. How that's not like that. That's as close as free will gets. But I'm God's. I try to be God's perfect servant. That's all I ever pray for, really. For me, make me your perfect servant. That's all. That's how I ended up this way. Is trying to do that. Uh, right? The Righteous Brothers, little Lupe Lu, right? And the first guy that I had signed this trust after me was Lupe. Come on, come on. This place is so impossible. You know what I'm saying? This place is impossible. Every little thing it goes on and on and on with the details of impossibility is so and his name, as a short for Lupe, right? Loop, the loop we're in, the time loop. But that's a nickname of Guadalupe, right? Water, right? The water wolf, So, yeah, Lupe, yeah, like the wolf. Anyway, so no, it's really every little thing in here is so impossible. Like it's all like like a Beatles song. It's too perfect. It's like, wait, okay, if there are this many people over forever, somebody at some point, maybe at some point writes one Beatles song. Maybe. Let's say that's possible. All the Beatles songs around, it can be a what? It's a joke. It's you know. But and then on you go through the cathedrals are the same, each one more impossible than the next, and it just starts to add up, and you're just what this is. This is nothing I've been told, and now you see everything for what it is. And that's my job is to, hey, I'm matched up with the loop. I totally notice everything, in complete timing wise harmony with the whole thing in this physical form. And so I guess it's that, to say, oh, hey, uh, w- w- uh, not astronomy, uh, oh my gosh. When you're born and stuff like astrology. Oh my god, that took me a minute. Astrology. Say astrology is not real, but my timing is exactly lined up with the time loop. You see what I'm saying? Astrology is real when you know reality. Timing does matter. When does timing? When does timing? When does trying to come on the stage? You know what I mean? It's a little late to the game. Must play a big part as a big character. Comes on late you know, like, you can see the timing for what it is. They're not creative. They're not thinkers. No way, shape, or form. They can't answer some obvious questions after, basic obvious questions I have, like, uh, just so many. And then all you do is see cracks and holes in the calendar. All you see is holes in the firmament. That's all you see is the holes anymore. You don't see the firmament. Like this place, you start to see through the whole thing. And then all the individual puzzle pieces, it all comes together. It's like you see the whole thing. Uh, that's kind of the process of the individual. What because intermission. Let's get back into the name of the show. Intermission, right? What's our mission in here in the dome? Intermission. What's our mission? What and another way to look at it is we're interned, aren't we? We're in jail, in prison, whatever. We're interned here. We're not able to free ourselves. Uh, just by freeing ourselves. We're not free by going. I want to be free. No, we're free by actions. All of it, thought and everything together. But what we do uh, in this very finite amount of time is what determines what you know role we play after we're in this body. What happens after this is determined by our actions and what we do here. That's okay. In this labor, yes, in this land. So we're interned here. And so now you're like, oh man, wait, I'm in prison. Everybody who's in here and, bringing us up to that, yeah, feeling and stuff. And then it's like, well, what do I do? And that's what Revelations is about, is telling you, you know, here's the way you stay in and you keep it a loop, and here's the way you get out. It's saying both. It's saying the timing of the big loop, yes. Oh, this is a 64-year thing. This is what happens. Here's the players come on stage and stuff. But it also speaks completely at the same exact time because it matches up of the individual's evolution too. That matches. Mine matches. Yes. The it's actually a little my spiritual process is a little early, isn't it? It's sped up a little quicker than the dopes, so that I have the information ahead of time. Some individual has to, uh, you know. But isn't it? Wouldn't it be? Think of it this way. Think of it this way. I know there's some musicians in here. If you take a tuning fork, let's say you have the most giant tuning fork in the whole ever created. You have the tuning fork bigger than Earth. You know what I'm saying? And you went, "Doing." Would it Earth resonate that way to that tuning fork? Yes. Uh, so, and that's we're tuned to do this exact thing at this exact time, and the individuals are tuned to do that too. Uh, I mean, obviously, we have consciousness that we're generating, but at each point in the consciousness, even where I am as someone and being one with God, you realize, yeah, and your mama say the same thing. God is unfathomable. You get to the seventh plane, and you're like, "No, I'm linked up with God." You know what I found out? Yeah, no. What do you want me to say? He's the one making a 64 time. I mean, there's a whole bunch of useful information I can say about what God is up to that, directly affects us and what we have to do. That's the revelations. Yes, that's what I'm here for, to help with that. But I mean, you know, to then understand the nature of who created this, the nature of God that could possibly ever get something so complex because, uh, you know, this infinite dream is infinite, even to the most tiny detail. You're like, oh, let me come in from Earth and then down to the, grain of sand, and let's keep going to the crystallization of the sand particle. It's just infinite, every single detail. And that's it, then you understand the nature of God, and you're like, okay, that's the nature of God, is infinite. I can't, that's too much, I can't, but you can feel it, you can experience it. It's just, that's the way to fully understand it. To then come back and say in words, hey, guess what? That's the unfathomable part, to transfer it in words and logic and an understanding. And hey, let me know it's an experience that you rate by your actions, you see, and then you experience it. But you have to, hear from, someone has to make it. And you go, oh, that does match up with everything. That does sound interesting. I do want to do that. Oh, that makes sense. Unless someone's helping with that, then everyone has to, what? No. Like, but if someone makes it, I made it, then the tuning fork is hit. Boom. And the resonation starts to happen. And the dome is, going to respond to that resonation of change, you see, of knowledge. Oh, that happened. In other words, God came in here. Doing okay. And that's the way it's going the whole way. And it's all pre-planned, all predetermined, and that makes it fair. And that is the ultimate fathomable, 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 fathomable. Anyway, fathomable about God is, through every particle of everything, is a certain fairness that is yet to be seen on the end day, on Judgment Day. In other words, you all ain't seen it yet, so you don't know for sure. But I've already been outside to God. I'm already connected. God doesn't have time in God. There's no time in God. God is timeless, outside watching the ball and just like, oh, that happened. In other words, God already has that knowledge, even though in the time bubble, we're still bringing out the information seemingly and so on. Not to God. It doesn't exist out there. How could God, and that is just an experience of who and what we are. That's all it is. And it is, maybe it's impossible to describe. Uh, and even if you describe it perfectly, it doesn't make it happen. It doesn't give you the experience. Even if you describe it perfectly, it doesn't give you the experience. You see, the experience is, oh, that now is happening for me as an individual. I've returned to God. Oh, this is what that feels like. And I think I think everyone in here has, is on some spiritual plane, i.e., there's seven veils. one or more of them have been removed through an experience which drew you to this information, as draws you to God, and keeps you going down the path. Uh, and that's what this book is about, Revelation, right? The individual, your Bob is all about spiritual place. That's what's in Revelations. This is how you get there. How you get your soul to the end, and you win the game, and you don't come back in to the constantly always happening revelation. That's almost, it's impossible for another human to decode this. It's impossible for two reasons. One, they're not allowed to. They know every single detail. What do they need to decode it? They lived in every single for infinity. They don't need to. They don't know anything else. They only know this. You see, uh, and that's the way it's always going to be. They're not going to have knowledge outside this time. They're not creative. They're not. That's not. In other words, knowledge outside. Okay, okay. Thinking outside the box, right? If you're in this thing here, they don't have thoughts outside of here. What does thoughts outside of here mean? Who's outside of here? God. God is outside. Thinking outside the box. In other words, God is sending you thoughts, i.e., Gabriel the angel is now directly sending you what to do. You see? Thinking outside the box, outside. Hey, you're one with God. God is outside the box. You see? Legends leaving a legacy. Oh, what an interesting LLL. Okay. I appreciate you, brother, for everything you do. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. What a nice thing to say. Uh, but you see, and I think we got up to Revelations, right? That I have to do this every time, and you know, um, you don't, you know. So uh, that's good. Uh, you know, and it's good that Jesus comes and God comes and stuff. But I stay, don't I? Like I'm here. I'm here. You can see me. I'm here. I'm not much different than anyone in here either. That's the point of me being here. Wipe his memory. I'm like, wipe my memory. Yeah, wipe his man. Shut it every time. Wipe his memory and shove him in there. Uh, I don't remember how you witnessed on video over the many years me going through the process of coming to the truth. So God isn't expecting anything different of anyone. You see what I'm saying? I'm not giving no special favors or anything like that. Opposite. You get to see every, you know, look at that. He's definitely going to die and do that. No. Yeah. But, obviously each individual is in this loop and we're going to be, tested. You sure you're with God? All that whole thing. And, testing your knowledge of the situation and all that stuff. Uh, so as we sit here in intermission in Revelation, as you see, it's just sort of want to remind you where we are. You see, we're talking about, the time loop 22, and it's the individual's consciousness evolution, right? Through loop after loop of life after life, but also during this 64-year time loop. That's what we're doing it in and out and in and out. That's what's happening here. You think you could fathom the source of what is creating, preserving, and destroying that is that's nothing is separate from that. We're just not experiencing that feeling and knowledge at this moment. But we have moments when we experience it, we're like, what was that? And when we have that feeling, we're like, oh, that's the only real feeling. That's the only real experience. That everything makes sense. That's God. And then you're back a year out of that experience. You're like, oh, but you keep having like each seven plate has like seven little, maybe mini experiences with a sort of a major experience at the end of it. Each little thing making you see the unseen, because you start to see God's shadow, the devil, and everything in here and stuff, which reveal The Wizard of Oz. Yes, who's behind all this? God. It's it's too much. You see, how can they all know everything everywhere in the world in the exact same second? What? That's not you. It's everything. It's so much. That's how you're like, wait, I can't win this game on my own. No way. Hey, God, every moment, now it's your fault. Right now, now it's like, no, I'm your servant. Nothing else is going on here. So you tell me orders and I do it, and that's what I'm doing. Okay, 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 we're good. And so that makes it your fault, God. If I'm not doing what you want me to do, how's that not your fault, God? How's that not your fault? Come on. Uh, and God's like, well, I sent you the thoughts, but you didn't do it. Ah, you see, God will set us a thought and we have to do it. Yes, if it's right, you have the feeling that it's right, and so you have to do it. It becomes that simple. You know right or wrong. Yes, you do. We seem to create situations we don't. God will change the timing anytime. Oh, stop all planes. There was a computer glitch today when apparently nothing happened, but all the planes stopped. It's like your security, God broke your security. Yes, but yeah, God broke our security. Yes, pretty much. It's like, yeah, okay, and so that's the hidden hand behind everything is God. God. They know. There's no one not working for God. How's that possible, right? And how's the devil? You know, your Bible said I could be 100 places at once, 100 bodies. Like, how's God not playing the devil? Come on, what? Who could make all your dreams come true? So, come on, that's just a character that God is definitely playing as God in three persons, Gabriel the angel. What a messenger of God? How is God not that? It is. It is. It is. So we have a God level adversary to overcome. Oh, with God's help. What? You know, not easy. This game is not easy. This game is not easy. There's nothing easy about this game. Once you start thinking it's easy, you thought the wrong thought right there. God makes it easy, and you have these blissful, easier experiences when you finally get to God, and that's why God is making such a difficult game. So you notice when God helps you in impossible, miraculous situations that God is real, and you're like, "Oh, just keep me over in Miracle Land with you." That just becomes, instead of a one thing you experience once, oh, I experienced it again, and then it becomes your continuous experience. You see, I'm never off God's thoughts. I'm not. There's no that. That's it. There's other thoughts are gone. And I'm just anyone can answer me any question. It's really a real question on God or whatever here. I just answer because I have nothing else. Send me the answer. There's nothing to hear waiting except for send the tape. Here you go. That's what it is. And then, and the desire just grows to become one with God again because you realize, oh, I've been what? I just haven't been home. That's home. Once you experience that, you know, you meet with God, have a meeting with God, you're out of the body for a second and you go up the spiritual plane, you go, oh, that's home. And then that keeps your journey, each step of the journey on the spiritual path, back to God. Faster is better. So you like who got there, who's faster, who knows. You start listening to them and you just go, just going there. That's it. And then once you get there, it's like, well, okay, great. How do I actually not get back in the body? Do what I say. Okay, then you gonna watch a whole lot of doing what you say. And that's the other team too, you see? That's all they wanted to get home too. Doing a whole lot of what God says. Even if it's difficult, even if it's creating horror, a horrible, ridiculous, but what's at the carnival? You've been in the fun house, right? You've been in the scary places. Like God created us to go into the difficult places, the easy places, and the scary part gets old after a while. It's like, okay, that was all right. Just actually, God is better, So here we get to see that side of things and make our choice. But we do go in the firehouse. We do go check it out. We do go up into the dome. It's the nature of us that God created that nature to, you know, because what we've been in God's presence for forever, and all we do is want to serve God, and when we're out of it, we're like, what? We don't even actually know who we are. Actually, we're not anything. You see what I'm saying? Without God emitting from God, and therefore we're a part of it. That bliss, that what God is, what we're separate from that, but we're not actually separate from. We're feeling separate from it. But once the feeling of separateness is removed, uh, nothing is unfathomable. You understand everything. Everything. Can you explain every single little detail in English? I try. Boy, do I take my time trying while I'm here in the body. I go on and on and on. People ask me questions. I'm trying to be extremely detailed with it. And you notice that my explanations aren't out of sync with other explanations. I've done thousands of videos uh, on the spiritual information. I'm not wrong. I rarely I have like I receive information early in a process, and maybe I slightly missay it a little bit, and then it smooths out. But I'm never like way off or nothing like that. Why? I'm just receiving information. The right information you have to get first. So go. It's like, okay, I'm blaming everything on you. It's like, that's right. So go do what I said. That's it. Uh, so that's why I'm always on the basics. Have in every room a picture of God, a altar in every room. You never leave God's sight, God's thoughts. Your thoughts are never separate from God's. Period. Ever. Now, if you wanted me to do this, and I'm in this situation, is because you wanted me to, and I'm supposed to be here to do something, to learn, because time is short, and I went out of this dome, and that's not just me. That's you. You see, each individual is doing that. You see, that's what's happening. So in intermission, as we sit here, we're like at the Avalon, right? In DC yesterday, and you go into intermission, this lovely old theater, and you have all this super gigantic hallway out there where you can sit around. Oh, let's have a drink from the bar and have intermission and talk about everything. Let's see how this thing is going. How's this movie going? How is this movie going? Because the movie's on a reel, right? We're in a loop. So here we are at intermission, and we're having a convo. And I pulled you out of intermission here at the exact timing Revelation matches the book of this date. Do you understand? My loop matches the loop we're in. I'm always in sync with it. You can see that by me, God sending me the thought to decode revelations and coming up to the exact date right now. You see? How's that possible? No, I'm working. I'm just an agent of God. I'm a direct agent. I do what God says. That's all. I hope that's evident. And that's all one wants to become is what one was. In your presence, I was whatever you said I did, And that's what now we're feeling separate. We're not, but our true nature is whatever you say, God, hey, you're right. And thank God you're right. How could God be wrong? No. God is his own God is a singularity. That's why people on the we are like a singularity is approaching. God is approaching. It's like, yeah, singularity. Yeah, God's coming on a certain day. You're right about that. They're always saying it. Climate change is coming. CC 33. It's like, yeah, they have a script and it remains hidden for a riddle. Life is a riddle for you to solve. I've solved it. Every little bit on the riddle is solved. Uh, and so now we're going to go into discuss it into the future, which is going to cause it to happen. So, all right. Uh, so we're recapping during intermission. Yes, we had a wonderful wedding. We took time out for love, uh, which is wonderful. That's what you're supposed to do. That's all Mary Mama writes about. That's all Jesus writes. Love one another, right? That's all they ever write about in that. So it's like take a break in intermission. Don't forget the love. That's all. If that's not in it, hey, God ain't you ain't you're not making past this date. You're not going further. You have to do this very hard. And obviously there are only 7,000 playing this game. Other ones will drop along the way. You know, in their service to us, to facilitating us making it home in our spiritual journey. You know, that level of service is really it's really something, isn't it? At every stage, this whole revelation of who God is and who's working for God and all that stuff is like, how could someone not be working for God? They think the devil's not working for God. God, the two football teams, you can't have a game with one football team. You need them both. So, all right. So we're up to intermission. We're gonna get back into Revelations. Now we're just in the inner work, didn't I? Of 11. So we're gonna go back into 11 at the beginning next week. I haven't even really looked at it since then, but I will be. Uh, and so. Anyway, thanks for having me at the wedding, anyone. And I said that yesterday, and it was wonderful, and it was just so wonderful to witness. I was just smiling the whole time. It was great. See that much love. It was like first time I met him. It was like, uh, Reagan and Ella was like, as soon as they met, man, that thunderbolt come down from heaven. I was like, oh, this thing is over. Like it didn't even happen to me. I'm just standing near it, and it's just so wonderful. So it is about love. So it's nice to take an intermission in the middle, of this information, in the middle of the time loop, coming to God and realize what we're doing this for. What there's a reason to take a pause out for it and be reverent about love and love of God. And so, two commandments: love God, love your brothers and sisters. Witnessing yesterday is a beautiful thing. And so now we can move forward and let's get into the rest of Revelations, okay? Uh, so, good. Anything else on anyone's mind? I'm going to head out and move into other things. Okay. So, let's get back into it next week then. All right, everyone. God help us. Oh, because without God's help, we had been in God's game without God's help. That's why you have to start blaming on God. Yell at God if something goes wrong and love God, like, know who's behind it. And that's who's going to help you. If your heart's with God, hey, wait, what are you doing? What? And God's like, "Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you were. Oh, okay, yeah, no, I know you're doing this. I know. Could you have a little help? I was just waiting for you to hear. Yeah, it's like, thank you. Okay, so stick with that. Okay, you need the image of God. You need to be thinking about God because the closer you get to God, yes, and winning this game, the closer you get, that's when like you're a magnet that wants to get uh you know to the lodestone, yes, to the magnetic pole, bing, wind. But somehow it has both forces in it, that magnet can flip around and you get boom, you just shoot away from it. So it's a very careful game, and it's sort of like it wants you're magnetized to want to get there, and the game is sort of there to help you repel you and get there is hard. That force is hard to feel. You have to keep going in that direction. Okay. God's name, just like Al said, thank God, bless you, praise Jesus Christ. Say the name, keep it like an arrow, and you're headed home. You see? Okay. So everyone have a great week, and next Sunday, all right. What a wonderful week. I mean, I was just so blessed to be a part of that. And Really. What can you say? It was just so magnificent. Um, anyway, okay. I'm still basking in the glow. It is just a wonderful event. Um, so next week, you'll have a wonderful week. And God bless you, everyone. In the name of Jesus Christ, Bear Baba, Gabriel the angel. Right. God, watch over us, please.